Have you ever avoided going live, speaking on stage, or recording yourself because you weren't sure where to look, how to stand, or how you sounded? In this episode, my guest expert, Valonda, also known as the TV Lady, and I share practical confidence building tips you can use immediately, including how to use body language with intention, how to tighten your message so your audience actually listens, how to stop overthinking the small things that keep you from showing up. Before we dive in, I want to add a few insights I've gathered from top speaking experts as well as my own journey as a professional and TEDx speaker, a podcast host who has made significant mistakes and also has done a significant amount of in person and virtual speaking at this point. What I see over and over again, especially with high achievers, especially with high achieving perfectionists, we hold back important messages because we are afraid of how they're going to land. And also, we're waiting to feel ready. It's not because we lack expertise, I can tell you. One of the influences that shaped how I approach public speaking actually came from Chris Anderson's book, TED Talks. He is the longtime head of TED. There are three principles that I really like that he talks about in his book. It's a great book if you wanted to check it out. And I'm going to share them right now. Number one, clarity beats polish. You don't need to sound perfect. You need to have one clear idea you want your audience to walk away with. When I stopped trying to say everything and focused on that single through line, my confidence grew dramatically. The second thing, speaking is an act of generosity, not performance. Let me say that again. Speaking is an act of generosity, not performance. When you shift from how am I being judged to how might this help the other person, the pressure eases and your presence changes to actually being there. The third thing is say the idea early. Don't bury your message in tons of filler language and context. Lead with the point you care most about, and then you can unpack it from there. Audiences lean in when they know why they're listening. And with that, we're going to jump into today's episode and hear what our amazing guest expert has to say. Welcome to Success Reimagined. I am Dr. Amna Shabbir, your host on this journey to thrive at the intersection of ambition and wellness. In every episode, I'll help you challenge outdated definitions of success, discover practical tools and strategies for growth without compromising your well-being. I am so glad you've joined me. Let's reimagine what's possible together. Today's guest is Valonda Calloway, also known as the TV Lady, a former television anchor, reporter, and host who now helps professionals show up confidently on camera, on stage, and online. You do not want to miss this conversation. Welcome, Valonda.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're excited. I am nervous because I'm not sure if I'm looking in the right direction. I know I already have admitted this to you before we started recording, but I'm just, correct me as we record where I'm looking, what I'm doing. Is this okay? Is this not okay? And that might serve as a learning point for our listeners and for those who are actually watching the recording with video.
Absolutely.
But my audience is made up of high achievers. Many of them share their stories reluctantly, or they often don't share them because they feel self-conscious and in how they present themselves. What would you say to them?
I would say know that you are not alone, that all of us, no matter how polished we appear, every single one of us is struggling with something, and it is okay. We're not going for perfection, as you have taught us. We're going for authenticity. And so go out there and do it anyway. Do it scared. My philosophy is accept it or fix it. If there's something about yourself that you don't like, if you say, oh, I've gone gray and I don't like it, well, get your hair colored or accept that you're gray and it's okay. If you say, I've gained weight, well, do you want to do something about that? Or do you want to accept that you are not the person you were 20 years ago and it's okay? Because we're all changing. I'll use myself as an example. My eyebrows decided a few years ago that they were just going to stop growing. And I was tired of penciling them in. And so what did I do? I went to a professional and I got permanent eyebrows. And it's okay. That's what made me feel better about how I appeared. I'm also in braces right now. I did braces in my 20s and I had to make a decision. Do I want to go through that again? I don't know. But the whole time, I was still out there sharing a message, still making videos, even though I didn't like how my smile looked. But I decided this year in 2025 to do aligners. But it's okay. We all have things about ourselves that we are not 100% happy with, me included. And I'm not done. There's other things that when I look in the mirror, I go, ugh, that does not look the way it used to look. Some things I'm going to choose to accept, other things I'm going to fix. And so I would say to anybody, it's okay. Be you, share that important message, and know that every single one of us can relate.
I definitely could relate to many of the points that you've mentioned. I also have this issue, which I think wraps around with this component of self compassion and self criticism. Whereas I'm doing more public speaking, I will say something and I'll start editing myself in my brain in real time. One of these moments happened while I was on stage and I was talking about perfectionism and I was talking about
Yeah.
self compassion and self criticism. I let out a couple of ums and then I just had to have a human moment in front of everyone. I was explaining this to everyone while it was happening in my brain. What would you say to that?
I would
I would
say
say
it is perfectly normal and you shouldn't beat yourself up about it. However, there are some key things that we can do to stop ourselves from filling in that empty space, such as pausing. When I was responding to that question you gave me just a couple of minutes ago, there were several times when I needed to get my thoughts together. And instead of filling in that empty space with a filler word like an or an ah, I simply paused. And pausing is, in my opinion, and in the opinion of lots of other pro people who do this, a far superior way to handle that situation where you're trying to find the words versus vocal graffiti. But I want you to not beat yourself up and give yourself credit because I watched your TED talk last night, your TEDx talk, and it was incredible. You didn't use any filler. You were confident. Your voice was strong. I absolutely loved it.
I am going to take all those compliments and receive the feedback. I struggle with it. I struggle with openly accepting positive feedback, but I love that word that you used also, vocal graffiti. And yeah, I think that one of the reasons why there were no ums was because my subconscious brain was activated because of a lot of practice. That was just practice. I've had this out of body experience. I got on stage and then all the muscle memory kicked in basically. So and then of course there was this deep connection with the purpose that I wanted to share which had led to the practice and fine tuning the message in the first place. Thank you for watching my TEDx talk. Yes.
Yes, and that's exactly as it should be. We should practice. We should practice as much as we need to feel good about whatever message we're sharing. And then it was authentic. That's why it was such a good speech, because you were talking about what you know, your lived experience, and you practiced it. That's the key right there.
I told myself I cannot mess this up because the message is so important. And for those listening who haven't seen my TEDx talk yet, it's titled Perfectionism Has a Solution. It's Not What You Think. And you'll be able to see the title and where to find it in the show notes. Please go watch it. It's 10 minutes and 31 seconds. So you'll get a lot out of it in just that time span. Okay, moving on to a
Absolutely.
more specific question, Valonda. In general, if you could just talk to us and just give us all the pearls that you have, which are a lot of pearls. How can we present better both in person and online to make our message land with confidence?
Since we're over video conference right now, I'll start there. Eye contact. You want to give your audience eye contact. And the way that I'm achieving that right now is by looking into the camera lens versus looking at the screen. Do you see the difference? This
I
is
do.
eye contact.
And I don't know if I'm doing
This,
the right. Am I centered okay for you?
yeah, you look amazing.
Okay. All right. Thank
But
you.
when I look right
Validate.
now, I'm talking to the screen.
Yes. I can definitely tell.
And it looks as if I'm looking off a little bit. I'm not giving you direct eye contact.
Mhm.
But when I look into the camera lens, you see the difference.
I do. I do.
That's what you want to go for. And it can feel strange because people always say to me, but I can't see reaction. I can't see the expression of the person I'm talking to. I get it. However, you want to give eye contact and you achieve that by looking into the camera lens. And another point that I would share, you already shared it. You talked about how you practiced. Practice. When you have a message to share, whether you're going on stage or you're going online, practice it. We have every tool in the world to help us do better. I say, whip out your phone, use the camera, use your tablet, whatever technology you have, and record yourself on a regular interval. Maybe it's once a month, maybe it's once a quarter. You decide what you need, but record yourself and watch it back. What is your body doing? Because the number one thing people pay attention to is your body. Is your body language natural or is it off putting? You may watch your recording and say, oh, I didn't know I did that. I didn't know I had that fidgeting problem. I didn't know I rocked back and forth. But you don't know that unless you record yourself and practice. And then your voice. What does your voice sound like? Is your voice confident? Do you have some variety? Or does everything just stay in this flatline place where you never go up or you never come down? You don't know these things unless you practice, record it, and watch it back. So that's where I would start.
Very helpful tips. And I can echo with so many of those because when I started hosting and I was a guest host on another incredible platform, when I saw my own videos, I realized I was rocking, I was looking in different directions, and then the worst thing was when my guest was talking as a host, what were my expressions? So I have tried to work on some of those elements, and I'm just being very honest for everyone listening. I really love all my listeners. They've been on this journey with me, they're growing with me, I feel. So that's why I had to bring you in and give us all the good, pearls for us. Specifically for in presence, in present events and stages, there's something that you talk about rocking, and I've seen you give this phenomenal talk in person. I was in the audience and I was so captured. Can you share a little bit more about that specific rocking and anchoring? And I think that would be really helpful for the audience.
Yes, it is important to plant yourself and to think about it ahead of time, not simply walk on stage and wherever you land is where you land, but give it some thought. How am I going to walk onto the stage? Where am I going to stand? Where am I going to move? You want to have, I wouldn't say necessarily choreography, but you want to be thoughtful. The same way you think about practicing the actual words you're going to deliver, think about what you're going to do with your body as well. I'm not telling you to choreograph every word because that looks weird. No, don't do that. But do be thoughtful about what you're doing with your body. And when you're rocking back and forth, that is a distraction to the audience. If you're fidgeting with your clothes or fidgeting with your hair or fidgeting with your jewelry, that's a distraction to the audience. You want to plant yourself. And if you're going to move about the stage, move with intention. If you decide I'm going to walk to the right of the stage, you want to go to the right of the stage with some intention because you want to give eye contact to the people over there. And then when you go to the left of the stage, you want to give eye contact to the people over there. You don't want to walk aimlessly and look down at the floor or look nowhere. So again, have some intention about how you move about the stage, how you plant yourself on the stage. And different things work for different people. So that's another reason why it's important to practice. I have a certain way that I like to stand on stage that prevents me from rocking, but everyone will have a different thing that works for them. Find the thing that works for you and practice it.
Find the thing that works for you and practice it. Okay, moving from like body language and presence to how can we speak better? What are some of the key skills or habits that you recommend in improving our communication?
I would recommend that you work on being concise. So many times we go on and on and on. We just talk too much. Think about taking that big idea and breaking it down. If it takes you, all day to share something, I don't want to put a specific time limit on it because some things deserve more explanation and more discussion than others. But think about, did you need all those words? Did you need to tell it that way? And this goes back to the recording. The only way to know that is to see yourself, to watch back that recording and see, could I have made that message more concise? I think that's a good place to start because a lot of times when we're nervous, we just keep going and going and going and going. And a lot of times that can get us in trouble. I don't know if you've ever interviewed for a job or anything really high stakes and you feel like you just need to keep talking, 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 that can be detrimental because a lot of times we say things that we shouldn't say because we don't want to stop. We're afraid of the awkward silence. Barbara Walters was the queen of that. The journalist Barbara Walters. She would interview these high profile celebrities and she would sit there and she'd ask a question and then she would sit there and look at them, wouldn't say a word. And then they would start talking again. And before you know it, they're crying or they're saying something that gets them into trouble. And that was a technique and it worked. But a lot
Wow.
of times speakers do that as well. They just go on and on and on when they should have stopped 5 minutes ago.
I think that's a life skill that we can all learn. I think women can learn that life skill, especially in
Yeah.
professional settings too. I have had the urge to explain everything multiple times, and then the other day I told myself, which was a couple of years ago, thankfully, to just stop. And that was also with the help
Yeah.
of my coach. Like, you do not need to over explain, and everybody is not entitled to everything. I felt like a lot of that was coming from a space of people pleasing as well, which was like
Mm.
coming into that space.
I can totally relate to that. I'm still guilty of it. I may have talked too much in this interview. We'll let
You
the listeners decide if I've talked too much. But it's something that requires practice and getting used to it. Be okay with putting a period on it. Be okay with that emptiness. A few seconds of silence is quite all right. There is nothing wrong with it.
all right. I'm laughing so I don't keep talking. What I'm learning, Rolanda. Okay. So what are the massive no-nos? So we've talked about some positive things over here, but what are some of the massive no-nos or disaster moves you wish people would just stop doing when they're in front of an audience or a camera? And I can see you're excited about this question.
This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Think about what you're wearing. a lot of us, we have favorite colors, favorite patterns, favorite fabrics, all those things. But that's not what we should put on our bodies all the time. One of my favorite colors is brown. Fall is my favorite season. I love the leaves. I love orange and gold and brown and rust and everything that you see in nature during the fall. But those aren't necessarily the best colors for me to wear because of my brown skin. It all starts to blend. So, on my brown skin and my brown hair, colors like blue look better on me, which is why I'm wearing blue. When we started this interview, I had on a lighter lipstick, and I said, you know what? I don't think that lighter lipstick is working for me. I feel like I'm fading. So I put on a brighter pink. The aesthetics matter because before people listen to what you have to say, they first judge what they see. And if you are a darker skin person, don't wear all black because it simply is too dark. And yes, some people look great in black, and black can look very sleek. But if it's really close to your skin tone, I would not recommend it. I love Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player. Follow him on social, one of my favorite celebrities. But I saw a picture of him with two other people, and he was wearing black from head to toe. Shaq is a dark-skinned man. He was wearing a black suit, a black shirt, a black tie. And I thought, oh, this is awful. Who let him wear this? Why did you do this? Because it all just blended together. You could barely pick out his features because everything was so dark. And so I would encourage the listeners and viewers of this podcast to think about contrasting. If you are of a darker skin tone, wearing colors that are lighter. If you are a lighter skin tone, perhaps wearing colors that are a little bit darker, but not blending in.
Interesting. When I was hearing you talk about this, I will be very transparent with you. I was feeling a little bit, oh my goodness, I have to follow this prescription. I don't want to follow, my perfectionist was coming out, and all this work that I've been doing surrounding perfectionism. But I understand as an expert when you're looking at it from how the camera looks and from those technical angles, but the rebel in me was roaring, no. I had to
I
make
hear
that
you.
acknowledgement.
I hear you. And again, different things work for different people. But what I know for sure is that we do judge a book by its cover.
Mm,
It's natural. Don't feel ashamed of it. It's just what we do. It's how we are. And if how you present makes the audience go, why did he do that? Or why did she do that? They're not fully focused on your message. Their minds are divided. They're judging what they see and also trying to listen to what you have to say. Same thing with patterns, stripes, dots, circles. All those things can be busy and a distraction from your message. I like stripes and dots as much as everybody else, but I don't wear them when I'm presenting because I don't want you focused on the pattern and go, oh, I really love that. Or why did she wear that? I want you listening to what I have to say. I'll give you an example. I was watching during COVID when everybody was online because we couldn't go outside. I did a lot of podcast and video viewing, as most people probably did. And I watched this one person give a talk, and she was wearing this top with circle patterns. And these circles just happened to land on her breast. and I felt like I was being hypnotized. I could not focus on what she was saying because I was too busy looking at these circles, and they landed in the worst possible place.
Oh my goodness.
And it was truly a distraction for me. And maybe it's because I do what I do. However, that's what I remember. I don't even remember what her talk was about. And
Well,
so I
this
would
is good to
encourage
know.
people to think about what they're wearing and how they're wearing it. Make sure you feel good in the clothes. If they're itchy, maybe that's not what you wear on stage because you don't want to be on stage, doing this and adjusting because the fabric doesn't feel good. Again, a distraction. So it's important to think about the clothes.
What about the hair?
Wear hair that feels good. I wouldn't try out a new style when you're giving a big talk. If you're going to be concerned about, well, how is it going to lay? I don't know about that. Wear what makes you feel confident because you don't want to be on stage thinking, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have tried this style today. If it feels good for you, if it's what is natural for you, go with that. I'm not a stylist. I'm not going to tell anybody how to wear their hair. But what I will say is don't be a distraction. If you know, because you've recorded yourself and watched it back, that you like to fidget and having your hair down means that you might start twirling it, then I would say don't wear your hair down because I have seen people who do that. They fidget, they need something to do with their hands. And so they mess with their hair or they mess with their shirt or they mess with their jewelry. If you know that's you, then maybe you should wear your hair up. But again, you don't know these things about yourself unless you are recording yourself and watching it back.
Those are really some great examples. Shifting gears just a little bit, as someone who coaches leaders and professionals surrounding presence overall, and I know we've touched on perfectionism just a little bit. How do you witness this show up in your clients?
So many of them have wanted to get on stage, they want to present, they want to do podcast, and they don't do it because they're waiting for everything to be perfect. You've got to eventually do it. It's never going to be 100% perfect. High achieving people like us can always find something we don't like and something that we want to be better than the way it is. And so my advice to those people is to simply get out there and do it. And you can continue to improve, continue to work on whatever it is that is holding you back. You know what you need to do. Get out there and do it. Do it scared. Do it with the jacked up eyebrows like I did. Do it with the crooked smile like I did. We're all working on something. We can all continue to improve.
And I also feel that those are the parts, the crooked smile and the that eyebrow. That's what makes you human and beautiful in your own special way. And I talk about this in my TEDx talk as well, that our intolerance for imperfection has been getting higher and higher as a society at
Mhm.
large. So listen to Valonda. Your message is more important than the other elements that you're focusing on, which are distractions. So I really appreciate you sharing that and leaning into our imperfections, embracing them, and moving forward. So, Valonda, thank you so much for sharing your insights so far with our audience. You have had such changes in your career, you've grown, you've evolved. How have you reimagined success for yourself?
Wow, I love this question. I have reimagined success for myself because I have more freedom now to do the things that I want to do. Growing up, all I ever saw for myself was working in the news business, being a news anchor, being a reporter, climbing up that ladder, to get to New York or wherever the biggest place I could be and talking to the most people. I never imagined the life I have now. But with age comes wisdom, with disappointments and show cancellations and contracts not being renewed. All those things shaped who I am now. And even though I did not make it to New York as a news anchor, I still feel a huge level of achievement because of the life that I've built that I have right now. And this is a reimagined world. I'm still in TV, but not in the way that I used to be. I'm still telling stories, but not in the way that I used to. And so I'm enjoying where I am now, and I'm enjoying having the opportunity to help impact others by sharing messages like the ones that we are sharing on this podcast and coaching people all over the place. That brings me a lot of joy now. And like I said just a second ago, I never imagined this for myself, but I'm glad that the disappointments that I experienced in my career, I'm glad they happened because they would not have led me here.
Well, your
Or without
joy.
them, I would not be here.
Oh. Well, I just want to say that your joy is quite palpable. I can see you smile and you're radiating joy at this time. And so, thank you for taking us behind the scenes as you shared that journey. How can
Thank
my
you.
audience get to know more about you, connect with you, and where can we find you?
Thank you so much for that question. ValondaCalloway.com is a one-stop shop. And from there, you can find the Facebook handle, the Instagram handle, the YouTube handle, the newsletter, all of the things. But I am on those platforms. As you mentioned, I'm known as the TV lady. And so if you look up Valonda Calloway, the TV lady, you will find me.
This has been incredibly helpful. I will not use an I will pause here. We'll stop recording. Thank you, Valonda.
You're welcome. Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
You might believe you don't have the time or energy to focus on yourself, but this is exactly the right time to get serious about your well-being. You don't have to do it all alone. I'm here to help. If you enjoyed this video and are ready to take the next step, head over to dramnashabir.com where you'll find free resources you can access right away. The website link is below. Let's get started on your path to thriving.